ranch house.
Thanks, Sam.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you. She made me notes on how to do this. Oh, I forget where I'm at.
Do I need a computer for this, Leslie?
No,
or-
this is,
no?
we're
Okay.
not doing a hands-on today. This is
Okay.
observe. and
I'll take some notes. I'll be right
And
back.
ask a lot of questions.
Cool.
I gotta log into my Gmail. Oh.
Hi, how are you?
Good, almost late.
You're not late. There is no almost.
Hi,
Hello,
Leslie.
Mary Lynn, how are you? Did you ride your bike?
Yeah, I always ride my bike. If it's not raining, I use it like a car.
You know what? Let's turn off the,
Uh-oh. This is logged in, I will sign out of all accounts. No, I'm gonna sign.
Or do you want that?
I wanna sign, nope, that's fine, I can see it. Is that gonna make, I don't wanna go into.
Hey, how you
Hi,
doing?
good, how are you?
You on the motorcycle today?
Oh, yeah, every day. If it's not raining, every day.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here then. Straighter view.
Oh, that does not look like my password.
IFP, I'll be back.
Okay. I have to log
You
into
say what I
something.
like. How funny.
You get to see my messy email because we're gonna actually send it to someone.
My email's gonna look like that.
Okay, and then we're gonna go to agent.kw.com. This is how you get into your command system. Okay, so I guess we're gonna go ahead. We have a few more minutes. Let me just go ahead and get in there. We'll talk about what we're gonna do.
So did you move back to South Gulf Cove again?
Would I?
No, did you?
Not yet. No, right now we're in Northport.
Oh, that's right, you said that. Yeah.
But we will.
Cool.
You will move back to South Gulf?
Yeah, we should never have sold our house there. We ended up buying 4 additional lots from the town. So we had a little over an acre over there.
Wow, nice.
Off of
Wow.
Appleton. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
And I mean, hindsight 2020, we should have rented our house out. But yeah, we didn't. So we moved back in February and then the virus hit. So
Yeah,
yep. So we'll buy again next year.
yeah. So, I have another one of these open.
Yeah, I loved it over there. The only problem was the first year we were there, the mosquitoes were terrible during the day. So I guess there's that certain type of saltwater mosquito that was just really bad that
Museums
year.
or something like that?
No, these were like real mosquitoes. Like in the summer, we were out walking our dog in hoodies and
Yeah?
sweats.
So they were really big, you could really see.
Oh
these
yeah,
mosquitoes?
they swarmed you. It was terrible.
I've always heard of the little museums.
Yeah, those are bad too.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Jen, how are you?
Hey, Maddie.
Hey, Leslie Brown.
Maddie, we have Sam joining, this is Sam from the
Hi.
ranch.
Hi.
Nice
to
meet you.
These are all South Gulf Cove girls. Wait, no, you're in Rotunda.
I'm a,
South Gulf Cove.
Well,
I
she's
used to
half
own a
and
house
half.
with
I'm half and half.
Yeah, she's half and half.
I'm not on the South Gulf Cove.
Shacking up.
Check, depends what else I'm at, pick a house.
How long's this class, Leslie?
It's an hour.
Oh, you should have told her 3.
Uh-huh.
Find her something.
All right, so I gotta go to command. All right, so she's the command girl.
Command. What?
So welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I myself am a real newbie at command and Docusign, and I understand from 16 years at Keller Williams and 15 years teaching classes at Keller Williams that the best way to master something is to teach it. So I am going to be learning just as much as you today as I go along and do this process. And we're going to do a real listing because I'm going to be listing one of my own houses real Are there any specific things that any of you are looking to have answers to right now, or are we looking for a general knowledge of how the process works?
Just general.
I guess, yeah.
I guess I gotta break away from dot loop eventually, so.
Sooner or later, we will.
Yeah.
And you know, you understand why we want to do that, right?
Right,
You
yeah.
understand why we.
They're
wanna do
selling our
it?
info.
They are. It's
Yeah.
owned by Zillow,
Yeah.
and even though we may have signed a privacy notice with them, we can't be assured that our information isn't being scraped. They might have scraped it before they sent that.
Right, that's true.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't have a whole lot of trust in Zillow. I mean,
Maybe that's why we get a lot of calls. You know, like cellular calls, all kinds of
oh
calls.
gosh, you get so many solicitations. But the way to get started, of course, is to go into Command. So you know that the website for Command is agent.kw.com.
agent.kw.com in
Here, someone else is with us. Who else is with us?
on class.
Somebody's on that thing, yeah.
Somebody else is with us. Hello out there. I don't know who's with us.
Can't hear you.
Who is it?
This is Marlene. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Hi, Marlene.
Okay.
Hi.
Should I, yeah, I'll take the mask off. Is
Good.
this better?
A little bit.
I wonder where it's receiving the sound. Okay, I'll just try to talk loud, okay?
Better.
Maybe we should see if Blake can come in here and tell me where to talk. Or we need a microphone.
Let me do that. Hello.
Yeah, you start fading off. I don't know if you're moving a location.
Okay,
She's not.
I'm gonna stand still and look forward. Okay, so we're going to agent.kw.com and we're gonna log in. Now I have already logged in, so it already put me in here. And the first thing we need to do in order to have a contract, a listing, we're gonna do a listing today. One thing we need is a client. So our client has to be added into Command. Have you already added clients? Has everyone already added clients in
Yes.
the past? Stan, have you?
No,
Okay, let's add one.
I've added leads.
Okay. Well, that's
That's
gonna
the
be.
same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just move them
As long
along,
as you have
as I
someone
call
in
it. You
here.
move them.
Okay.
As long as you have someone
Yep.
in here to click on,
Yeah.
then you can create a listing or a closing, a contract. You can do anything, but your client that you're working with has to be in here already. Okay? So this client's name is Leslie. And it's a little bit slow. I'm gonna use Leslie O'Gorman, just because it goes to a different email. I know which email that is. That's me.
That's the old
In former life.
That's your
That's
old
my
one.
maiden name, which I'm thinking about going back to, but it's kind of hard to go from the Leslie Brown team to the Leslie O'Gorman.
Yeah, you can't change at this point in your life.
I don't know, maybe. Can you hear me, Marlene?
That wouldn't be able to pull you downtown Leslie
Is
Brown.
there a microphone?
Yes, I can.
Right there.
I should direct my
Yeah.
speech into that?
As loud as you can, probably.
Okay. All
Put
right.
on your big voice.
Get your
So we're
Q-tip out,
choosing-
Marlene.
We're choosing Leslie Brown, Leslie O'Gorman. I'm gonna click right on her name. Okay, so right now what we need to do is have an opportunity. We're calling the first step an opportunity. And I don't have any opportunities for Leslie right now, so I'm going to click create an opportunity right over here. And so it tells you where your market center is. If you're on the team or if you're an individual, it won't say team behind it. What kind of opportunity do you want? This is where you can choose your opportunity type. And this is a listing. I'm the owner of this listing. I'm also going to be the listing agent. So that might come into effect sometime later. I'm going to change this name because it'll be easier to find it later. Whoops. 281 Lakeview Lane. If anybody here knows of anyone who would like to own a 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a pool in the heart of Englewood, it's going to be listed for $225, probably in a month or so.
Where's Lakeview? What is it off
Lakeview
of?
is off of Stratford, off of Dearborn East,
Oh, that way, okay, it's that side of town,
East
okay.
Dearborn.
I hope you already have it signed, Leslie, because, we're all realtors here.
I know.
We can go after that.
Okay, so tags, you can tag what type of an agreement this is. So if this is, I'm gonna call it test, but you might have some different tags that you wanna put on your listings. Say this is a condo, you wanna put condo listing, you can make a tag here that says condo. You can put single family, you could put villa. You could, if you were doing, you could put vacant land or commercial. That might be a helpful thing to put in here. And you get to create your own tags. So these are custom for you. We don't have a closing date yet. We do have an idea of the list price. And there's no point in putting period dot in here because I think it goes away. Nope, it didn't, it stayed. Now, anything that has a star, you have to put something in that field. So this has a star, and this is the commission rate for the listing side only. So I'm gonna put 3 there. Now, some of us might take listings for higher than that, and that's perfectly acceptable. And you just put in whatever your half of the commission will be on the listing side in this section. What phase are we in? I'm past cultivating on this person. I am actually active. We've already had an appointment. I had an appointment with myself. So we're getting ready to sign and prep the house and take photos. So that's the opportunity stage. I think that we might
Did
be
you
able to
create
cus-
those, the
No.
sign prep photos, or was that already
No,
there?
that's already created
Okay,
for us.
Okay.
There are a lot of things that you can go in and customize. I'm not sure if this is one of them.
okay.
I kind of like these.
No, that's
They
fine,
have
I
it?
just wasn't sure, I don't remember seeing
Has
that
all
one.
So looking at what's in here, obviously, we're active and showing it. Next would be that'd be the next thing.
Okay.
Come back. Offer under contract close, archive, if you end up not listing it and you did the paperwork, you can archive it. You can cancel it if COVID comes along and they want to take it off the market, you can put it canceled. Legacy is for for contracts that you're bringing in from another system.
Like that
So if you're uploading from .loop over here, a transaction, that's what legacy would be. We have not used that field at all, and I'm not sure how it really will be applied, but that's what I was told it was for. Okay, so we're ready to sign and prep. The important thing is to always scroll to the bottom and click the final thing that would really say save. So create an opportunity. Okay? I want to know why this isn't getting a little bit.
So once you push create opportunity, it is saved.
It is saved. Yep, it's saved. So this is all that minimal documentation, and we can close that. And we can actually click on this now. And we're going to go into opportunities, which is this little icon down here.
handshaker.
Little handshaker, yeah. So now you see a little more detail here. Now you see that I'm the owner and the assignee on this. And keep that in mind for later, that you're going to see yourself in here twice. All right? This is a test. If you put that this was a residential or whatever, it would show up here. There is a little bit we want to add here. We want to go ahead and put the address in here. So 281 Lakeview Lane, Englewood, Florida. Now I can choose that here and it auto-populates everything for me. That's kind of nice. And then hit save again. This, I don't think we have to modify any of this information right now. That was what we just set up. We don't know when the closing date is going to be yet. So we're not going to fill any of that in. And we don't have to save it because this didn't get right. Like I didn't change anything there. Okay?
Do you use that, real quick, do you use that screen, say if you, like when you first went to the house and before you had the listing, you know, it had like, if you scroll down, it said like appointment date or something. Do you use that to track your people or you just don't? Do you
I
use something
haven't-
else?
I haven't been at this point yet.
Okay.
I'm using my calendar and I'm still in Top Producer.
Right,
We're trying
okay,
to work our way into Command.
okay,
And in fact, this week we uploaded a whole bunch of our old buyers into Command, so.
okay.
I think we're all kind of trying to.
Okay, I was just curious if you
Yeah.
used that at
We
all.
have to move that way sooner or later. I mean, you don't have to if you want to keep doing your database through your whatever you use, spreadsheet or your phone or your
Okay.
email, however you keep track of your database. They have some really good systems in here though, so I see the value in moving over there. I'm just,
Oh, I didn't.
And
Command
cost
brand new.
savings.
well, it's not brand new. It's been around for over a year, but we haven't really been embracing it the way we should have here in this office. Lakewood Ranch has embraced it much more than we have. So that's why I'm teaching and Blake is
Right.
teaching all the time. We're trying to get everybody to migrate.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think there's anything else to fill in here at this time. I don't see anything telling me to save anything. So the next thing we need to do is go to documents. The seller profile's already been filled out. Actually, this is what work you might have done with this seller in the past in Command. So if I had started using the app, the KW app, that's what this is, consumer platform. If your customer is already using the app, it's gonna show up here. And then we're gonna go to documents. Okay, now, what documents do we need for a listing? We don't know without having a list. So I open another window of Command, and let me just show you how I did this. So I'm in my opportunities. These are all of my opportunities that I have going on. Now I know this is a single family home, so I'm gonna go to this other single family and open that. And I'm gonna go to documents here. And here's a list of all the documents that we need.
But you have to go into another family to pull that up? Isn't there a way you can just pull that up?
I've been trying to and I can't figure it out. This is how I've figured out how
I
to
feel
do
like
it.
you just
Yeah,
showed
but
us
if you're
that
the-
yesterday.
Yeah, she just showed us
Blake?
yesterday.
Oh, good, teach me then.
Yeah.
I'm
I
trying
told
to
you I'm
remember because
learning.
we're just learning. but,
Yeah, we were at class yesterday when Blake was going through some stuff.
Okay, let's come back to that. Unless
Okay.
you guys can think of it right now.
Yeah.
Tell me how to get there.
I can't, I'm looking at
It said assign,
It's under-
new envelope, create new envelope?
No, that's when you
Right
send
before
it.
that.
Oh, okay,
mine.
sign.
We were under offer because we were working from the buyer's side.
Yeah.
So maybe if you go under offer and then under documents, you'd be
Okay,
able to
so
pull up
that's
the
kind of what I
checklist.
did.
But you just went
I
into,
went under listings,
okay,
so I chose one of my listings.
okay.
And so that I can look at this list at the same time, I'm gonna minimize it. I'm gonna make it a
That'd be
little,
easier way.
I'm gonna make it a
Well,
little
especially if you don't have a
smaller.
listing in there yet. You have to go pull your documents.
Yeah, but-
There is a way, we just have to ask for
But
it.
God, there was like the template, so.
When Blake and I worked on it, this is how he showed me to do it.
Oh, okay.
That's how he showed me.
But how did you create it with your very first listing though? Because right now you're having to go to another
I
listing.
actually used the list from Loop. You know, we have the,
Right,
the
right.
list, the checklist
right.
that we used
Okay.
to turn in.
Okay, so on
We
your very
don't have
first
them anymore
one,
because this is our checklist right
Okay.
here. So on my very first one,
Yeah, this is.
I used that checklist.
Because yesterday we pulled up a checklist in Blake's class.
So here's how he said to do it. He
Like-
said, go to documents, yeah,
We need to help. We need help. How do you,
checklist
what's a
type
better way to get
residential.
the list?
hang on.
So you'll click this pick checklist type. Right here.
Oh, that's what it is, yeah.
Residential.
Residential.
Yeah.
The list is.
Yeah.
and
Documents.
Okay,
Check here.
that's fine. We need to choose that also, but we need to check to start the transaction. So once I click start a transaction though, then we go to Docusign. And we go to Docusign in this same page, right? Docusign.
Mhm.
What was that box?
And
Start
it hides that
transaction.
list. This is my point. Once you click go get the documents, it hides the list. That's why I'm opening this other window over here and having the list open beside.
So it's just like a little glitch in the system
It
where you
is a
don't,
little
you can't
glitch.
see the list at the
It's-
same time.
Yeah,
So it's there, it's just easier to access the way you're doing it.
I just like to
Can't
look
look at it at
at
the
it
same
on the
time.
side here,
Mhm.
so I know that I chose them all.
Okay.
So now I have to log back in here too.
That's good. I like that. I never thought about having
Oh,
the two windows open.
I guess I spelled my name wrong. It's gotta be an email.
So will it make us sign in every time like you did?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. The checklist does exist.
Yes, it
Like
exists.
originally you had to go to .loop to get yours, but it does exist. It's just that you can't look at it at the same time. So the very first listing we put in there,
Yeah.
we'll just have to like print the checklist or use .loop for the checklist, and then
Make sure.
once
got
we
it.
get one in there, we can do this.
Right.
Okay.
Once you have one already,
first one's gonna
you
be
can
a
go
little-
open any one and look at the
The
list.
first one's gonna be a little manual.
Or
Okay.
you might just prefer,
We threw you off your stride because we made you do it different than you're used to doing it, which is the way we need to do it apparently.
there we go. This, okay, no, don't save my password here. Okay. So here's the list that I want.
Mhm.
I can actually move this over a little bit more. So I can make this bigger. Always like a bigger screen. Bigger the better, especially with my eyes.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Then you go to room docs or where do you
let's go to details a minute. And make sure that the address is in here.
Okay, so right now you're
Because it
under,
is not.
could you do a checklist type and starting a transaction, and then you go to details.
Got my checklist type, and then I'm going to details. Once I've opened it and said I want to have a room, we made a room here. We're at
Right.
rooms.docusign. Details. So you got to come in here and add the address. So you're going to have to hit edit again, and 281. Now, this time, when you're adding the address, don't let it autofill because it'll erase other things.
Yeah,
that
that's
you
He
put.
what
did tell us
told us.
that, yeah.
Okay. Good, we're on the same page,
Yeah.
at least on that.
We
That's
learned
still
something
true.
yesterday.
It's in Englewood. And I
It's not a good thing that it's still true, but it sounds like it's never gonna change because it's more of a Google thing than
I guess.
a command thing.
Can you see my name
Yes, I
on
can.
this?
I can see it.
Florida, and someone else is probably way faster at doing this than me.
That's right, we're not in a hurry.
Okay, property type, not much of this is required here, except it'd be helpful to do the listing date. So let's say we're gonna list it next week on the 30th, and that means it'll expire, I'm gonna put it out a year.
But is it true that anything on this page that you do fill in will autofill to the contract
Yes.
itself? So anything you know is on the contract, you definitely want to.
Yes.
Okay, got you.
This is where you don't bother putting any periods or commas because it disappears.
Okay,
And we're not relisting it. There's no offer yet. There's no bid. There's no contract. There's no seller concessions,
and just zip
at
through
least
all of
yet.
Now, on the list side commission, you don't put there.
With side commission, you can, yes.
Okay, I just didn't know.
Buyer side commission, you should be able to put that there too. And let's do it and see what happens. I've never done that. I've always left it blank and added it later.
I mean, unless it's
And that is something Blake told me too. If you forget to put something in here, you can
You
just
can
add
add
it
it.
into the document,
Mhm.
all right? Taxes don't come up in the listing agreement. All of this is for entering it into the MLS. So really, those are the only few things that we're gonna
Do you-
need.
Do you ever really need to do all that? I mean, because we all do the MLS
At this
separately,
point, we
so.
don't.
Just seems like double work.
At some point, if somehow entering things in Docusign translated over to KW websites or something,
Right, but
then
at this
maybe,
point, that's not
but I don't
happening.
think it's valuable.
Or
to do it.
MLS.
And it's waste of your time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, we just don't
So
want to waste
just
your
do
time.
where we're at, but
Okay.
let's make sure we have the people in here. The listing agent is Leslie Brown, and that auto-populated.
Mhm.
And the seller is Leslie O'Gorman, and that's good. Okay, I'm gonna hit save. Okay, it's been updated. Now I'm gonna go to documents. And I'm gonna add documents. I'm gonna add documents from Docusign Forms.
The document
And I think it's gonna work.
to the room.
Add. Docusign Forms. You must be thinking.
On the slow side today. Forms.
No!
You need to go into a room?
I'm in the room.
Oh, I didn't know if you need to open it.
I'm in the room right there. It says
Oh,
I'm in
gotcha.
Lakewood
Do we go under
Residency.
actions? I'm just curious, I don't know.
No.
No.
Close the room, we can add a folder.
What's that ID number up there?
I think
Is
that's
that the
what
property ID number you
Where?
got underneath
No.
the?
Oh,
Docusign.
that's the room ID number and that's a system thing for Docusign.
Oh, okay.
But we should be able to add, where is he?
Yeah, because it should be, it could
Docusign
either come under
forms.
library or groups when you open that up.
Yes.
It says it says document finder. Do you have to type the name of it maybe, or?
I don't know.
Okay, hold on.
I haven't used it enough to know. I'm just thinking that's a field there, a search field. So
That's
maybe-
to find any ones that are already in the room. We have to add
Huh.
documents first.
What the hell, Fred?
Okay, where is he?
Oh, it's under actions.
Blake!
We
I'll look at
did,
it.
we looked at it.
Actions
Wasn't there.
was export, add a folder, close the room, or leave the room.
Yeah, that's not. It's
It's
not
not-
I
working.
feel like Blake made a folder and named it, and then, oh, there he is.
Docusign Forms. And in
What is
documents,
mortgage payments?
I'm trying to add Docusign Forms
Uh-huh.
and nothing's happening. I've clicked it
Uh-oh.
about 4 times.
Do we not have internet?
No, we do.
Um,
Back then.
Does that have to do with that we're screen sharing? It shouldn't. but-
Does it have to do that I have this open at the same time? No, I did it yesterday. I had it open. I had them both open. Yep, go for it.
Weird.
Now that looks different.
Oh.
There you go, refresh it.
Oh.
Ah, snap.
I was gonna say something different.
I hate it when that happens.
Let's close it.
Lisa? Yeah, I don't know. I can't
Is that what it said?
Command.
That was weird.
It was like, you know, if you came and they drew your number out of a hat.
Oh, okay.
Perfect for us.
Yeah.
It's
You're
technology.
trying to be enthusiastic.
Yeah, what a girl. Yesterday I wore my mask on today. This one.
My girlfriend commented on your last one. Did you see that on Facebook? She's like, I love that shirt. She's like, oh, she Rosie hot water with long hair. And I said, yeah, she also has a real estate. I said, you can't see that because there's talons in the way. Yeah, I
was thinking about
I've been about
That's a bunch of old
You know what, I'm gonna have this watch.
Aren't you gonna video that lady's house?
yeah, I want you to do it with me tomorrow.
To do it early.
That's what I need. There might be a little bit more time. The thing is, I need to figure out what I'm doing. I think that might be tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I have to meet the girls. I certainly need a lot.
Oh, that's right, George, you're right. Right, so you can't do it tomorrow. Okay.
Really?
I might ask for like, you're right, George. You
I'm
don't have
having
to.
food. Her son. He just really partied.
Oh, Jason. Jason.
He's
Yeah.
he started his own business.
I was,
He's in
the
body
thing is,
drop.
I even have a list. So it's not like I always spend a lot of money, but, you know, I wouldn't mind.
Okay, we're back in there.
What?
It is,
Yeah,
Licky Lane.
This, I was supposed to do it yesterday, and she canceled because she
Yep,
had.
that one.
And I was gonna try to do it today. I was gonna try to do it today, but she said Friday might be better, so she's probably all swollen and everything.
I think
Yeah, I'm trying to get this done.
too much information.
I don't want to say I got something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll work on it.
Plus, like, the two- they use content themselves. These are my best.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
There's some-
it's like down.
How do you say?
What do you say?
Oh, the computer's out of memory?
It's having trouble running two things.
Okay, so close that.
Where's Rod Stewart right
I
now?
think she's,
Where's that? Probably do.
Hanging out at home, huh?
Went to Vantage a couple weeks ago.
Must be, okay, you did it.
Can't have that much open affair.
Our computer has some little weaknesses, so
Jim.
that's what it is. So so now,
He sent
me
me
an
an
email,
email, Jim.
okay,
What?
so we were finally able to click where we were.
Rod Stewart?
We'll cancel that a second,
Wow.
all right?
so
We're
you,
back
the
at
same thing you wanted to do, it
documents
just worked all of a sudden.
No, I had the two windows open and it wasn't liking it.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the computer itself,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's a little bit older and it has limited capabilities.
So it works on yours, but okay.
So it works fine on my computer, it
Okay.
probably worked fine on yours, but this one's been for a while.
Okay.
That's an upgrade. Okay, so we go back over here to add
Yeah.
documents and we choose Docusign Forms.
Right.
And it opened.
Yay.
Now, sadly, I don't have that other window open to see what documents I need, so I'm gonna go by memory.
Yeah.
No, they say go by groups.
I will, I'll go by groups. So there's two different
Oh, there you go,
Here.
that's what this is.
library.
That's what
the
the list
Library, this
That's
is
where the
all of
list
the
is.
documents. This
Right.
is all of the documents in library.
Right.
If you go to groups, it's all the packages that we had in .loop.
Right, but
There
see,
you
it
go,
has
so
the
there's your
listing
list.
packages, that's where
Well,
it is.
it's not the whole, it's not the exact list, but
okay.
they're mostly all in here. So we're
Okay.
gonna choose vacant land, I'm sorry, single
Single
family,
family.
and there they all are.
Okay,
Now, we try to put them in the order of which you would probably use them, but that's not a choice here. The
yeah,
order was to put them alphabetical. That
Mhm.
seemed to be the most logical way for us to do it. So that's what we chose to do. Okay?
so
So,
once
But
we
they're
click
not
them,
alphabetical.
once we
Oh,
click them and
I
we put
guess
them in
they
our
are.
room, we can put them in the order we want, right?
not until you're in your envelope.
Oh, okay.
In our envelope.
I've just decided I don't care what order they're in.
It
Because
doesn't
it was
really
making
matter,
me
you can
crazy,
just scroll
and
down, it doesn't take that long. You
Yeah.
know you need lead-based, well, you
Yeah.
don't even need
Well, we
that.
don't need, so this house I know is not in an HOA. I'm not using defective drywall because it's not that year. It's 1984. We don't need lead-based paint.
Mm-hmm,
We do need an exclusive right to sell.
yeah,
We do need a home warranty brochure.
Right,
Now, we have resubmitted to DocuSign just the signature page, so
Mhm.
that you don't have to send them the whole package.
Yeah.
That's coming sometime soon.
okay,
Okay, and there's two warranties here. You just need to choose one or the other, not both.
right,
We do need, this form is a broker form,
right,
KW 910.
right, remember that
And
one?
this seller's estimated net proceeds, that's a broker form also, which is gonna get updated because it isn't
Right.
maybe the best format. A residential listing form, this is the Stellar form that you need to have signed. Stellar
Right.
says you need to have your seller sign it, even if you don't fill it out. Stellar wants to see a signature on it. Okay? I probably gave my seller a seller's property disclosure on paper
Early
when I
on, yeah.
visited them.
right,
But I'm gonna add this so you can see that it assigns them all of the things that they need.
Mhm.
And our broker also is asking us to do wire fraud.
Mhm.
So almost all of the forms, except we know we only need one of these, and none of these extra things apply to this particular house. Okay, so we're gonna hit add. And now we wanna go through these to make sure that they're filled out properly. A lot of this is not gonna have anything filled out in it. And you have to open one at a time here, right?
That stinks.
Yeah, I kinda like
Yeah,
it.
that part we don't like.
Sorry, just saying.
Okay, so one thing that happens here that I prefer to change is it puts Keller Williams there, and I put /
Your name.
Leslie
Brown.
Brown, PA.
Mhm.
Now, I take
I
a
do that
copy of
too.
that right there,
Cause you're gonna use it many more times.
because I'm gonna use it a few more times.
Right.
So it auto-populated the dates for me. It auto-populated the address. It did not auto-populate the legal address, the legal description. I'm just gonna put lot 12, block whatever, Englewood subdivision. I don't
But we
what
did
it
learn
is.
that you have to chop that up to put it on different lines. It doesn't-
Exactly.
right.
So
Yeah.
if you go in, you can go into Realist or into the county record and you can copy and paste it.
Right.
But if it's too big, it cuts it off.
Right.
Go
So you
back
have
and-
to pay attention. If it cut it off, go back and put the rest of it here. You'll have to go copy it again probably to put the rest of it here.
Most of them, yeah.
Some of those have really, really long ones.
Oh, they are. Some of them are really
It doesn't
long.
look like
They're
they're
like
gonna
meets
fit.
and bounds.
Yeah.
If it is really long like that, you might just put, under legal description here, you might just say, see additional terms.
Oh, that's a
and put
good
it in the
idea.
additional terms
I
if it's
wanted to
really
ask
long.
you that legally, because when I took a class with that Robert Gress guy, he said you should be taking the address from the deed, not from the tax record. So then it doesn't have all those extra. The deed just has.
I know.
You
I
know,
know.
so what do? Do you copy it from the tax
I will-
records?
If it's, Sarasota County just has the right parts.
Right.
Charlotte County, when you
It
look
has
at the county,
everything, yeah.
it has all kinds of extra
Yeah.
stuff. So I look at the deed to see what parts you actually really need. And it's usually
Because it
pretty
is
short.
true that legally you
It's
just need the
usually-
deed, you know, because all those
Right.
other numbers are things that have happened to the
Yeah.
property since its
It's
original
how,
building.
it's
as I
how
understand
they're organizing it in their county records,
Right.
their computer
Oh, I thought it
programs
was
to be able to.
it. But as long as the deed shows the plot, the book, the
Yep.
page,
Exactly.
the lot,
You probably
That's
only
it.
need something like this.
right,
You
okay.
need this much.
Right.
So you, a lot of times don't need all that extra stuff. Now, this house, I know the condition, I know that it will qualify for VA and FHA, so I'm gonna mark all of those.
Mhm.
I am not gonna mark seller financing because I know this seller and she wants her money.
Mhm.
Okay? Existing mortgage, assumable, that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
It will be very few times that you'll ever be able to check that. Sometimes a VA or an FHA might be assumable. And
Okay.
this might come into play because our interest rates are so low.
Right.
In 5 years, if interest rates are 6% and somebody has a house under an agreement, FHA, VA, for 2.5 or 3%, that could be very valuable in selling the house if they have an assumable mortgage. So think about that for the future, but right now it's not used. Another spot that we fill in is right here. I always put 0 there. This is seller willing to pay mortgage discount or other closing costs. In the market that we're in, it's 0.
Yeah.
You could also put negotiable or NA, but I always tell my seller, it depends on the offer that we get. If you decide that you're going to help someone pay for some of their costs or not. Okay, so let's scroll down here and see what else we need to fill in. If we check these 2 boxes, it limits the websites that you can put it on. So I always explain to my sellers, we're not going to check these boxes because we want to put it on every website possible, even Zillow, even though I don't like them, even though they put inaccurate information out there.
Still
A
exposure.
lot of people
It's
use
kind of a
it to look
go-to,
for
yeah,
properties,
yeah.
and you need the
I've got-
most exposure that you can get to sell your house.
Right.
And initials. Okay, I always use a lockbox unless it's a real high-end property that I'm gonna be accompanying. That's the only time I wouldn't use a lockbox probably. And I always say, we have an office policy of withholding verbal offers. Because if someone's not putting it in writing, they're probably throwing you a lowball offer anyway. So if someone does call me and say, hey, would they take this?
Mhm.
I will give you a call and I will ask you if you want them to put it in writing.
Mhm.
And that's how we usually handle that. Okay. Virtual office websites. We do not mark these because this is also additional sites that your property can go on. Even if it has an automated estimate of market value, that's okay. It's out there all over the internet anyway. The county record has an estimate of your value in the estimated tax amount. Realist has it, Zillow has it, Redfin has it. It's all over the internet already. It may or may not be accurate on any of those sites. The only number that's accurate is what's the buyer willing to pay for your house.
So you leave that unchecked?
I leave them unchecked.
See, Annalise years ago always told me she always checked. them.
Because that's, you're saying you
Then you
don't
can't
authorize
put it
it.
on Zillow.
Yeah. That means you don't authorize it being put other places and
Now, this one
limit
does not
church.
authorize third parties to write comments or reviews about the listing.
Right.
That would be Redfin, I think.
Mhm.
And I actually have never had an issue with this.
Mhm.
So until I do, I'm probably not going to check that because I want to put it on every site
Mhm.
that I can. Okay. Make all legally required disclosures, including all facts materially affecting the value, blah, blah, blah. I always put see seller's disclosure here. Okay, now here's where you're gonna put the full percentage, 6%. I would really like to be able to put that in the middle too, so it's easier to see, but it's not an option.
Yeah, we learned you can't bold and you can't
hold on.
censor anymore.
Right?
That's a
Yeah.
bummer.
NA, okay, so we're gonna ask 6% on the commission. No, there's no other fees at this time. Just because I know that owner, I'm not gonna charge him any extra fees. In a different property, I might charge an extra fee. Our office does allow us to charge an extra fee if we want to. And it still gets split out the same as your commission until you're capped, then you get 100% of that fee if you charge an extra fee. I'm gonna put NA on leasing it also. I don't do a lease and I don't do option contracts. In 16 years, I've never had anyone ask for an option contract. Do we all know what an option means? Okay, so an option means a buyer comes and says, here, Mr. Seller, I'm gonna give you $10,000 or whatever amount, and I'm gonna ask you to take it off the market for 6 months, 9 months, a year, and I'll decide at the end of that amount of time if I'm gonna buy it or not. So,
No
doesn't
option.
usually happen.
Didn't need it, no.
Not gonna happen.
An
But I
option-
always tell my
Option is
sellers
not an
that
option.
It's not a really good option. In a market that's climbing, it helps them to, it might be, someone might want to do it in a market that's,
It's total opposite our market, maybe.
sure,
Yeah.
right? Because if the market goes way down, then I don't want to pay you what I'm offering you today
Mhm.
in 6 months. So I wouldn't do that. I would think that would be in your best interest of your client. Broker's fee is due, and I put 90 days in here. You could put 6 months, you could put a year, whatever you feel comfortable with. I like to put 90 days. There isn't really an office policy as far as I know. The broker might have an opinion about that. We would need to ask. Retained deposits. I always put the 50% in here. So if we have a contract, Mr. Seller, with a buyer and they cancel for some reason that's not covered in the contract, you may have the right to retain their deposit. If you do, you split the deposit with the market center 50-50. I never take any of it. If we ever collect money from a buyer, I always give it all to the seller, and I tell them, I'm gonna give it all to you because I really wanna continue selling your house, and I'm gonna get my commission in the end anyway. So I'm gonna give this all to you, Mr. Seller. I just
So
think
your
that's-
contract says 50, but then you're generous and say, I'm gonna go ahead and let you have it. Okay.
it lets me be a nice guy when we have a bad situation.
Okay.
Okay. So this auto-populated that 3%, but it only populated there. Remember when we put that in? 3%? So we're gonna click all of these and I put 3% all the way across here. Some people on the no representation, they put 0 or 1% in there. In this part right here, this last
Right.
part that says to a broker who has no brokerage relationship to the buyer. I had this used against me one time, so I always put 3% in here. So I had a buyer who called me directly on one of my listings, and they insisted they wanted no representation. And I kept offering, can I help you get a surveyor? Can I help you find the insurance? No, we don't want representation. And I finally said, why don't you want representation? And I said, because then the seller's only paying 3% and we're getting a better price. I'm like, no, they're not. They're paying me no matter what.
They misunderstood it.
Yeah, but you don't understand how no representation works.
Yeah.
And there is a misunderstanding in the regular community about that. There's a misunderstanding amongst agents about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so here's where I used what I copied and pasted before, because under here it still only said Keller Williams Realty Gold. So I wanted to say the both of those things there, and same thing here too. And it's easier than typing it in, so I just copy and paste it. Okay? So you can talk to your sellers about your role as a single agent and your role as a transaction broker. And then if we decide that we're not getting along, Mr. Seller, this is a legal and binding agreement, but we can release each other if it's not in our best interest. I always put 0 here. I have a satisfaction guarantee.
Mhm.
So if we're not getting along, Mr. Seller, we're probably both gonna be more productive if we go our separate ways.
Mhm.
So I put no fee in there. If you choose, Mr. Seller, to buy the photography that I've done, then you can buy my photography to use in a future listing if you'd like it, or if you wanna have it. But I don't charge any fees. Most of my costs in listing your house are subscriptions that I'm paying for all the time. So I don't, other than the photography itself and some of the individual marketing pieces, that's my expense. It's a continuous expense that I pay every month, regardless of whether I took your listing or not.
See, I always put like $250 at least to cover like photography or, you know what I mean? Cause that's a
Sure.
big loss. you
It's
know?
your option, yeah.
It is a big loss,
Yeah.
but I have a satisfaction guarantee,
Well,
and that's
good.
my policy for my team. And you guys can do whatever you want.
Mhm.
You can put 200 or 500 or 1,000.
Mhm.
And our broker hasn't specified that we have to put something there.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think when you have zero, you're showing more confidence that you're gonna sell it, and that's
Well,
not gonna
that's what
come
I
out.
say, you
That's
know,
how I
and I
feel.
tell, when I put that in there and I
Right.
talk to them about it, I say, I've only had this used, well, actually, I fired a seller one time
Mhm.
because I wasn't getting, you know, they weren't agreeing with anything and
They
they
weren't
were
gonna help you sell the house.
complaining about everything that
Right.
we did. And we know we're doing a good job, and we sold 68 houses last year. We know what we're doing. I don't say it that way to them.
Right.
You know.
That's what you're thinking, understand.
Yeah, all right, and then additional terms, if there were any, like if there was someone who they're excluding. So say the neighbor next door has expressed interest in buying a house. If I put an exclusion in here, it would say, this person is excluded from this listing agreement for the first 30 days. I wouldn't go past 30 days, and I've been burned by this before. I did have a neighbor come and buy it, and I lost on a $600,000 loan.
Ouch.
Ooh,
Yeah, I've been burned, so I do limit it to 30 days. That neighbor wasn't willing to pay them what we told them the price was worth
Mhm.
until they realized how many showings we were having and
Then they
figured,
realized it
oh,
was
it's
worth
gonna
it.
sell, it's
Yeah.
gonna sell, if I want it, I better hurry up and step up. Okay, so that's it for that one, we're gonna save and close that. In the interest of time, I'm not gonna go through the rest of these documents, because I wanna show you what happens when you put them into the envelope and everything.
Mhm.
Okay. Is there anything special here? Residential listing form, it's only the signature at the end that I ask my seller to look at. And I tell them when they're looking at this form, this is a worksheet for us. And we bring it with us when we're coming to do the photos and when we're doing our pre-staging photos, so that we can make sure that we have all of the boxes checked and we know exactly what we need to put in the multiple listing service for your house.
So that's the matrix form
Yeah.
basically?
Yeah,
the
that's what
seller-
that is.
That's the
seller,
data
yeah.
entry form.
Residential listing form. And we didn't have any control over what they named these things.
Yeah.
Because they did them for the entire state,
Mhm.
you know,
Oh, gotcha.
or our whole MLS. So other offices must know how to call them the stellar data entry form, which is what we used to call it.
Right.
Okay. So let's
I think it's
move
even the
on.
title at the top of it, but
Right.
let's call it something else.
Yeah. All right, now let's look at people a second. Okay, so Leslie Brown is in here. Englewood Service Account, that is our broker right there. KW Admin is not one that we use very often. I'm gonna add a person here. I have to add Leslie O'Gorman again. There she is. And she's in my contacts in command, that's why she's auto-populating here. And her transaction is, she's a listing side and she is a client. Okay, now you have to invite them. And they do get an email that says you've been invited to a room. So tell them, you're gonna get an email that says you're invited to a room. You won't have to
We're
do
gonna think you're
anything.
talking about a hotel.
Yeah. Woo, let's go.
Okay, take that a little.
All right, so now the client's here, the listing agent's here, and the broker's here. We're gonna go into the envelope. Envelope finder, we don't have one yet, we have to make one. Okay, please, Docusign. I'm gonna call this listing paperwork for 281 Lakeview Lane. I always, when I'm working with, in a transaction, whatever the topic is of the subject, I always put the topic and then the property address.
Right.
Just so that when I'm trying to find something in my Gmail, it's easier to find, because I don't use folders and stuff like that. They're all just in there. Okay? And this will be the subject, so I'm actually just gonna copy paste this.
Is it beneficial to put the address first, so everything for that address is lumped in one area, kind of like on your computer?
That's great if you wanna do it that way, and I
I
just
just
make
didn't know
sure
whether
it's
there was
in
a
there.
benefit to it in
In Google?
Docusign
In
or,
DocuSign,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't think so. It's just a name attached to this
okay.
envelope. I'm gonna go down here to the email subject, and I'm gonna paste that same thing in there. And then I'll probably say, please use the link in this email to sign. Call me if you are having any trouble. And I don't type that, but you know what I mean. Okay? And then we have to add the docs. So here's all the docs that we were using. And we just want to use them all. And can't select them all at once. So I'm going to click them all. And add selected. Load. Still loading. Okay, they're loaded. Now, add recipients. Pre-tagged roles. Now, if you tried to add recipients before you put the documents in here, you would not see pre-tagged roles. So you have to put the documents in first, and then you see pre-tagged roles. So now, seller number 1 is Leslie Brown, who's Leslie O'Rourke at Gmail. Okay? So we're gonna add that person. Now the listing sales associate. This is where, remember I said I'm in here twice?
Right.
I'm in here twice. And Leslie Brown at PA, Leslie Brown at KW, and I'm also Leslie Brown PA, Leslie Brown at KW. It won't matter which one I choose. But because you're the owner and you're the listing agent of this transaction, you're gonna show up here twice. So let's choose Leslie Brown PA. And then our listing broker, who also has to sign some things, is gonna be that Englewood service account, not the KW admin. Englewood service account. Okay, so that's all. Add selected. If you had 2 sellers, you'd obviously add the second seller. Englewood service account.
That's the
That's the name of the broker.
It's just the
I
name,
guess.
it's what DocuSign named our broker.
Oh, okay, all right.
I don't know if we can change it. So far, we haven't figured out how to change it. If we possibly can, we'll change it to KWRG broker, or something like that. That would make more sense to me. Or Englewood broker, you know? Okay, so we've got our email that's gonna go out. We've got the subject. We've got all the people that are gonna get it. Let's do next. Now here's where you're gonna see all of the documents all opened at once, so you can look them all over at once. Make sure for one last time that you got everything correct.
So by hitting next, that got you back to everything?
Yep, it takes you actually to the next window where they're all together, so you can review them. You see these different color-coded spots here for people to sign. You can click up here, and you see all the different people that have to sign those spots, and they're color-coded for you. Okay? And it'll mark every spot for the seller, every spot for you, and every spot for the broker.
Do you usually go through and sign yours now, or do you wait until they sign and sign?
I wait.
Me too.
I wait, yeah. Okay, so everything's filled in as far as I can tell here. That all looks right. The one place that I know that we have to come in here and add a signature is the home warranty. In the versions that we have right now, the home warranty signature is not in there. So let's just scroll through and find any spots that might not have been marked correctly for us or for our clients. I'm gonna lose my voice. Scrolling. Where's the signature page? This is why we're gonna get just the signature page, so that we don't have to go through this whole thing.
So all the home warranty stuff is in there for, on the listing side? It used to be just for the buyer side.
It was in a separate folder, so you'd have to go grab it. You have to do it for listing too. You have to do it for everyone. Do we all know why we have to do it for everyone?
Nope, why?
Because our errors and omission insurance requires us to offer a home warranty with every listing and every contract. If we don't do that, well, if we do that, and you have a claim, then your, what is insurance man, what is the part that you have to pay yourself? Your deductible?
Right.
Your deductible is covered if you did this. And they can opt to not cover you if you didn't do this. So you need to do this
News to
on
me.
every
After
transaction.
4 years.
I didn't know that.
After 4 years, that's news to me.
I didn't know that. I swear to God, I've never.
I did it on the
knew
buyer
the
side, but
buying
not on the
side,
seller
Did
side.
not know it on the listing side.
I always offer it to try to sell it. In some houses, it's actually better to have it as part of it. So I always offer it, but I didn't know that was a fact. you know.
Jen Clifford pays for it.
She
on
does
every
the
one of her
60
listings.
one,
I heard
yeah,
that
but
the
I
other
didn't
day.
know it was
Yeah,
mandatory.
Well, it's not mandatory to have one.
right.
It's mandatory to
Mandatory
talk
to
to them
offer,
about
right.
it.
Never knew that.
And
And then you have to prove you offered it, so that's why they're
Yeah.
trying to
So
get, that's
that's why
initial
there's
it
a
at least.
I was gonna say, actually, it's on that other form that we have them sign.
It is on
that says we offer that.
It is
And-
on there, but it doesn't
Yeah.
count for E&O insurance,
Right,
okay? It's like our process, make sure that we do it.
right.
Okay, so we notice here that it is not filled in. We need to add a checkbox right here. Either they're accepting it or they're waiving it. I want to assign it to someone else. All right, well, we'll let the seller choose waiver. And then we're gonna add the seller's signature. Right here.
You really kind of have to discuss what to be able to put the box in. So you
should
just
have
discuss
the
it. Right.
And actually, when I, okay?
Come here.
I'm at my listing appointment.
Who is that?
Did you do this?
Leave.
Is that you? Going to bed. Go to bed.
Just or speakers on.
Come on.
Where are the people? I don't know where the.
Patrick, come here now.
Then they were down.
Patrick, come on. Patrick, come here.
Right there.
Patrick, come here.
Oh, is it Sierra? Oh,
There we go, all is here.
yeah. Oh, Sierra.
Okay. We're going back over here. Okay,
We're better now.
all right. So you've got their signature in there now. All right, I think that's the only one that they didn't do the signature correctly. And like I said, we're trying to get just that signature page, so we'll ask them to fix that. And maybe they didn't because it can be used for either the buyer or the seller, and that's why they didn't put it in there. Because then you can choose whether you're putting the seller's name in there or the buyer's name in there. We'll see when the document comes back whether it's.
I apologize. I was yapping. I saw you add the checkbox, but when you add the signature, do you assign it the same way like you used to do in that loop or?
No, because this color,
Mhm.
oops, I did the wrong person.
Oh, up there you choose who it is. And
I
then,
need to delete this. Now, if you need to delete something, you just right click on it and you can delete it.
okay. But I see what you do. You choose the person first and then
Choose
you add the box.
person and their signature, and then you put it right there.
So you are assigning it, but you're picking the person before you make the box.
I wonder if I sign this to me, a checkbox, if I can check it right now. No, I can't. I have to check it later as the listing agent. So you can put whoever you want to check here. If you want your seller to check it, I'll do this again. And I'll choose my seller, and I'll put a checkbox for the seller. So when they're signing, it's gonna ask them to check that box. And yes, when you go to the appointment, in my packet that I'm bringing to my appointment, I have one of these brochures in it. if I'm not going to an appointment physically, I've already emailed them a packet and talked about it on my Zoom call with them.
Okay.
Okay?
So Blake was saying that, because I got caught up in the colors, like you're this color, you're that color, but they don't see the colors, he said?
No,
Okay,
they don't see the colors.
so they just see like a little
Yeah.
prompt to sign
It
here.
just keeps on clicking through, sign
Okay.
here. Now, this can be another class on how to fill this out, but you'll want to do the math for your client and let them know. And formerly, we had 2 columns here, so I don't know if we'll be able to have it broken up. So there's 2 columns there for us to put.
Someone, I think it was
numbers
John,
in.
created this really great spreadsheet one, but
And
did
I
all the
use
math
it.
for you.
And
Can
it
we not put that in there?
auto-populated it too, I know, and it meant, it
But
didn't.
can't we
Can we
scan
not
it
put that
in?
in there?
Yeah, see,
Well,
I've been
this-
using it
this-
and scanning it
This
in.
is the form that was in .loop. You
Yes,
just
I
don't
know,
have
that
the
one's been
form.
there forever, but I just added John's to my .loop.
I had
use-
John made one that was,
It's so good because
autofill,
Yeah,
auto-calculate, but we
we can't
can't.
do that here.
we can't add it to it?
So here's what you can do.
How come?
We can make an auto-calculating form that's just like an Excel spreadsheet.
That's what
That
John's
you can
was.
fill it out
Right?
and make a PDF and upload the PDF.
That's
to
what I
this.
was gonna do. So
You don't
trying to
have to
figure
do
that
that
out, I'm
here.
gonna use
But
John's.
it's not that hard, honestly.
I'm gonna have them sign it.
Oops, come back.
I'm going to upload one form.
Did it just
I
Into
close?
think
there.
it just closed on you.
No. It
But-
closed
but-
on there.
It's not compatible with the form that autofills, is that what you're saying?
There is
Oh,
an auto form.
I see,
auto
okay.
thing there.
Autocalculate.
Yeah, restore, yeah.
Please.
Didn't restore anything.
I wonder if it'll work in, okay, we're back in here. Let's go to our opportunities again. And we're going to our active ones, and we're going to listing, Lakeview Lane, and we're going into our, is there a faster way for me to get there? Go to
You
transaction.
can go to realestate.docusign.com.
Oh, I can
So,
go directly to
yes.
document.
Once you create the room inside of Command, you can go right to DocuSign after it's created.
Was this asking for my password? Your email?
But right now, everything she said to me is, this is what I need for the bottom line, when I add 6% for that, it prices too high. I'm thinking about it. I don't wanna do it.
She said I know.
I told her I don't, yeah, that's the thing, I said, if I can.
Okay, we're going back to our envelopes
And I'll do this one.
and our drop.
Have 10%,
Okay, and then hopefully it saved all of that where we were.
Even though it shouldn't, it's gonna limit what fire station will bring to, I said this right to her, she said, that's.
So we gotta get down to,
Is it, I said, I agree, and I don't do it, I will show my buyers like 3% and 2%, and I'll.
okay, it's above here. I just wanna make sure that that signature is still in there. Oh, okay, here we go. That's there.
That's the last resort.
Yep, it's still there. It saved it, even though it closed on me. Okay, now, you can fill this out yourself, or you can do it on a spreadsheet and save the document and put it in here. I'm gonna work on that to try to figure out if we can make this interactive though. I don't know. We can make a request. So I'm just gonna finish scrolling through all of these documents, make sure the signatures are where we want them. Okay, there should be here. Loading. 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 That's the end of the data entry form right there.
All right.
And it's just taking its time loading, I apologize. And this is the seller's property disclosure, which is also taking its time loading. But this is all marked purple, so if you did not have the seller do this by hand, they do have the ability to do this all right within DocuSign.
Right,
They
just
can
like they
fill
did
it-
in Document.
oh.
Oh my God.
What's
Reload,
that?
reload. Oh,
Oh, shoot, sorry.
Oh.
Let's go back to transaction again. It doesn't like me.
I think there's an internet itch.
All I can do is
Glitch.
pray that the client on the other end doesn't have bad internet and have this happen to them. Because could you imagine how frustrating that would be for them?
Oh, yeah.
No,
They-
well,
they'd be calling
the
me.
client isn't seeing any what we're seeing.
Right.
This is us.
But
No.
after we
They're
send
No,
them,
no, I'm saying after you send
After
it
we
to
send
them,
it
and
to
if they have
them,
bad
Yeah.
internet, would they?
No, they're not gonna see any of it, even if after you send it to them. They see the documents that they need to sign.
right, but that was just a
We
document.
only see this.
I just want to get this sent now. We already scrolled
Right.
through, we made sure everything was right. I'm gonna hit send.
See you, bye. Or not.
Okay.
Mm.
All right,
Oh
now
my
I'm gonna
God.
go into my Gmail a minute.
I wonder if it even went.
We'll find out.
Let's see.
I want to go in my email.
Mm.
Well, you know how a lot of elderly people,
Okay,
they have
there it
slow
is.
internet, too.
So, I received it.
I have no idea what's going on.
Look, she
Okay.
received the snap message. So
I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's not your fault.
I don't know what's going on today. What is the X at the bottom of the page? Way down at the bottom of the page.
Let's try to review the document. This is what it's going to look like for you and for your client. I might need to close some things.
There it says new tab. You can close that one, that's empty.
I killed it. I killed the computer. I'm very sorry.
Get a gun.
Okay, so that's gonna open up and it's gonna have a box that says click here to start signing. And it'll show them exactly where to sign, just like we did with dot
Dot
loop.
loop,
We
yeah.
didn't use dot loop, but it's, do you wanna try to get it back? It is 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, I'd say practice that, pair up with someone, or send it to your
That's a good
spouse
one.
or a friend so they can practice with you,
Okay.
so you know what happens. If you have 2 email addresses, make yourself as an agent, and make yourself as a different person, a contact in command, and play it with yourself. Make yourself the
I was
listing.
an only child. I play with myself all the time. I'm the cashier and the customer.
All right, so, any questions over what we've made it through today?
When you had yourself listed twice,
Yes.
it was still the same address, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It
just
was
wanna make
still
sure.
lesliebrown@kw.com on both of them,
Okay,
but one I was the listing owner and
Okay.
one I was the listing agent.
okay, just so you have access to both.
Otherwise,
Um,
what would be a good follow-up for this? What would be our next step that you guys would like to have? Would you like to do a hands-on where we actually do a listing or a whole entire listing live here, and you all bring your computers to do it at the same time?
Yeah.
You can do a practice one yourselves.
in theory, that sounds great, but I just worry our internet can't really.
It's not our
support it.
It's not our internet, it's that computer.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
all right.
that computer.
I just been in classes before where we're all on the computer and it just took forever. And that is internet.
That's internet. We need
So,
boosted.
I like that idea, I just don't know how.
Maybe we limit it and we do 2 or 3 people at a time. I know Blake's been doing 2 at a
That's what we
time.
just did with
That's what we
him,
just
yeah,
did with them
yeah.
yesterday.
And that's smart, anytime you're trying to do something, because
And I'm happy to
we've
do
all been
that.
in a class where you
I'm
just
happy to
don't get
do
far.
2 at a time or 3 at a time, maybe we can do,
Okay.
so we're not overloading it.
It's not a huge.
And
cost
that's
anyways,
easier
so-
anyway. I mean, if I had 6 people in here trying to do a listing
Yeah,
and I was trying to run around to each one of them, we
Yeah.
probably would take 3 hours to get
Yeah.
done.
okay,
So in the interest of time, maybe I'd say 3. We
okay.
can do 3. So
I
we're
definitely
working
be
on getting
Or
that
even
scheduled.
4 might work, because it's not that many. And most of us have done a listing.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a question of typing. I mean, like,
Yeah.
or filling in like you did, filling in about,
It's a-
I know it's.
So my mind just gets a little confused with the making it and then moving it to Docusign, and then I haven't done all of that, but
To the envelope.
the contract and everything I'm comfortable with, it's all the
Right, you
same
know
stuff.
what, you know what to type in there,
Right, it's pretty, yeah, it's more
except
like
for Sam.
Yeah.
getting it.
Which is why I wanted to do what I actually put in the spaces and what
Yeah,
I say
which
to
was
my
good.
seller.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's
You
good.
know, what I tell people when when they're signing it.
Right.
And a lot of my clients, when I send it to them, we're talking on the phone while they're going through it, while they're trying to do it. And I have one in particular who wants me on the phone with her for every single thing,
That's-
which is okay. I mean, it's
They'd rather have that than they can say they didn't think you
Be on
helped
the
them.
phone,
Right.
right? And we
This-
just put it under contract yesterday with Liz.
That's awesome.
Yay.
We're so happy. So it's definitely worth it to give your customers that extra touch and that hand holding. That's what we're all about here.
This is off the subject of this class, but I would, I do Zoom calls, but I haven't created a virtual listing presentation. And it's just like play, you know? And I think it would be beneficial to do that right now with
I
everything.
have one, and it's been helpful because what I did was I went on Zoom.
Could you give some good advice on how to create it, what you used?
I
Would you be
can
willing
do
to do
a
a
class on
class?
that, yeah.
Oh, if you
That
would
would
do a
be
class,
great,
I
that'd
just
be
used
fabulous.
Zoom and I took my listing presentation and I went through it, talking to the client as if the client were listening to me.
Right,
And I recorded it and I put it on my YouTube channel.
so you can
Private on
record,
my YouTube channel.
you can
so
record
my-
it on Zoom? Is that what you're saying? So then it was like you were in person with them, handling papers or
No, no.
handling a digital
This
screen?
was-
or-
This was not the part about signing things, and it wasn't the part about going through the listing paperwork, but we could easily do that too.
Right,
I did my marketing presentation that way.
okay. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing a class on that, or just,
that'd be
you have it on
amazing.
YouTube?
I have it on
So I
YouTube.
could just look it up and just see how you,
Actually, I have to email it to you because I made it private.
would you mind
Yeah.
emailing it to me?
No, not at all.
Or me?
I would just like
I'd
to
like to see
see
it.
the
Yeah.
flow of it, you know, and then,
Share
make my
videos
own.
for it.
but-
I didn't bring them.
Okay, I'll get it.
It's my first name
Okay.
at kw.com.
Oh, it's just your first name?
Nobody has my first name.
Okay.
That's
can write it
nice.
down for
She's
you.
like
Yeah,
Oprah.
Here.
Cool.
All right, well, I think we did all right.
Yeah,
Thank
you did
all-
awesome.
Thank you all online for joining us. I'm sorry we weren't able to finish it up, but we'll repeat. We'll have repeats. I remember when I was first starting with Keller Williams, I went to the classes over and over and over and over, especially the ones about your website,
Yeah.
which at that time, we were setting them up ourselves, basically adding our own content and everything. Now it's so much simpler. It's all pretty much done for us,
Mhm.
but
Fill in the blanks. yeah.
the more times you go, the more you feel confident with it when you're doing it yourselves. Okay.
That would just make me cry. I don't know what this is gonna make me do.
Oh, you're out by the roots.
And now, look how comfortable you are at that loop. Now you're resistant to something.
Yeah, no, it's hard to teach an old dog. new tricks.
It's kind of good to see because when you go to the class, you realize that